Hello folks, Simon Kemp from Kepios here, bringing you 10 essential stories from our new Digital 2022 April Global Statshot Report. You can read the full report completely for free over on datareportal.com, but this video will help you make quick sense of the key headlines in this latest update. Let's start the countdown in reverse order at number 10, which offers something of a surprise. Despite endless media headlines proclaiming that the kids are leaving Facebook, Meta's data actually shows that Facebook's teenage audiences are still growing. The company's advertising audience data reveals that Facebook has added almost 3 million users aged 13 to 19 since January, at an equivalent annual growth rate of more than 5%. Across all age groups, Facebook's ad reach has grown by 1.5% over the past 3 months, with ads on the platform reaching 30 million more users in April 2022 than they did at the start of the year. However, headline number 9 this quarter is that the cost of social media advertising continues to climb. Data from Sky.io shows that the cost of 1,000 social media ad impressions has jumped by 15% over the past year, with global average CPMs reaching $6.75 across the first 3 months of 2022. Now, that is quite a bit lower than the averages we saw in last quarter's holiday season, but with the first quarter of the year typically seeing the lowest CPMs of the year, this year-on-year inflation points to potential trouble ahead for marketers. And if CPMs continue to grow at their current rate throughout 2022, marketers should expect global social media CPMs to exceed $10 in time for this year's holiday season, which would be the first time that global social CPMs have broken this threshold. In at number 8, new data from Ookla reveals that internet connection speeds are accelerating. Average mobile speeds have jumped by 40% over the past 12 months, with the global median connection reaching almost 30 megabits per second in February 2022. And that means that more than half of the world's mobile internet users should now be able to stream a full 4K movie via their cellular connection without any buffering or loss of quality. However, the typical fixed internet connection is still twice as fast as the typical mobile connection. Ookla reports that median wired bandwidth has increased by 1/3 since this time last year, exceeding 61 megabits per second in February of this year. Story number 7 this quarter is that digital is becoming ever more pervasive in the workplace. GWI's most recent work survey found that phone calls remain the most popular means of communication at work, but at a global level, email is now a very close second. Meanwhile, video calls have surged in popularity since the outbreak of COVID-19, with the number of professionals saying that they use video calls for work jumping by a hefty 20% between 2019 and 2021. However, when it comes to daily use, GWI's data reveals that social media is now a more popular choice for work communication than video calls are. And professionals in Asia are especially likely to use social media for work, with almost half of the survey's respondents in China saying that they use social media to communicate with suppliers and vendors. Now, this quarter's number 6 is that user activities vary meaningfully across different social platforms. GWI reveals that 7 in 10 Facebook users now use the platform to message friends and family, making this the most popular activity amongst users aged 16 to 64 on Facebook. Behaviours are quite different on TikTok though, where the most popular activity is looking for funny and entertaining videos. Meanwhile, users on Instagram and Snapchat seem to be more interested in sharing their own content. Roughly 70% of Instagram users say that they post their own photos or videos, compared with just 34% of TikTok users. And this rich data set offers loads more fascinating insights into platform activities too, so do be sure to check out the full April report to get the full story. Now, just before we head into the top 5, I'd like to say a big thank you to We Are Social for sponsoring this video. We Are Social is a socially led creative agency with a team of 1,000 people in 15 offices across 4 continents. They're already a strategic and creative partner for brands like Adidas, Samsung and Google, and their teams deliver a valuable global perspective at a time when social media is increasingly shaping culture. If you'd like to learn more, head over to wearesocial.com. Story number 5 this quarter is that TikTok's ad reach has jumped by almost 10% over just the past 3 months. Data published in the company's tools reveals that TikTok ads now reach 970 million users aged 18 and above, which is 85 million more users than they reached back in January. TikTok's audience has been growing by an average of almost 1 million new users per day so far this year, and TikTok's total reach is well on track to pass 1 billion users sometime in the coming weeks. However, TikTok's tools only publish audience data for users aged 18 and above, even though the company allows people aged 13 and above to use the platform. So there's actually a good chance that TikTok's total audience is already much larger than these published figures suggest. And we're sticking with TikTok for story number 4, because the platform has achieved yet another impressive milestone this quarter. Mobile analysis company Data.ai reports that TikTok was the highest grossing app in the world over the first 3 months of 2022, earning even more user revenue than the world's biggest mobile games. Data.ai's analysis indicates that users spent a massive $620 million on in-app purchases in TikTok between January and March, and a further $220 million on sister app Douyin. However, the really impressive bit of this story is that these figures only include consumer spend on purchases of TikTok coins, and they don't include the revenues that ByteDance earns from advertisers. And what's more, the value of these in-app purchases jumped by 40% in the first 3 months of this year, taking total consumer spend across the two apps to more than $2 billion over the past 12 months. Heading into the top 3, the latest report from CNNIC shows that China is now home to more than 1 billion social media users. The organization's research indicates that 97.5% of the country's internet users are now active on social platforms, and China accounts for more than 1 in 5 of the world's total social media users. Despite these impressive figures, though, there are still 440 million people in China who don't use social platforms, so there's still plenty of room for growth in the country's social media population. CNNIC's data does indicate that social media users in the country only grew by 2.5% over the past year, though, which is well below the double-digit growth that the organisation reported for the previous 2 years. And echoing that trend, a slowdown in global social media user growth is our second top story this quarter. Social media user numbers only increased by 0.7% during the first 3 months of 2022, which is the slowest growth that we've seen since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Social media users have still grown by 326 million since this time last year, though, which means that an average of almost 900,000 users have started using social media every day over the past 12 months. However, the latest trends do suggest that we should expect social media growth to drop to more modest rates over the coming months, especially now that more than 75% of eligible audiences already use social media platforms every month. But our top story this quarter is that there are now more than 5 billion people using the internet. Kepios analysis reveals that internet users have grown by almost 200 million over the past year, taking the global internet adoption rate to 63%. Now, for context, it's taken roughly 4 years to add this latest billion users, with the world having passed the 4 billion mark back in early 2018. Current growth trends suggest that 2/3 of the world's population should be using the internet by the middle of next year, but that we should also expect to see internet user growth slow down over the coming months. Now that's all for our April Top 10 Headlines video, but you'll find loads more trends and insights in the full report and in my in-depth analysis article, so do check the links in the description if you'd like to get the complete picture. If you've got any questions about the data that I've covered today and what these numbers might mean for you, feel free to pop those in the comments, or contact me on LinkedIn and Twitter, where you'll find me as Eskimon. Thanks as always to Hootsuite and We Are Social for making these reports possible, and to our wonderful data partners for allowing us to share their valuable insights. And thanks to you for joining me today too. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you again for our next Statshot report in July.